Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. We are on episode, what is this, 13 of the series? And it's going on pretty well. In the last episode, we saw the end of the Iron Age, and this is the beginning of our new age, which was symbolized by this. As we head on over to Europe, we see that it is divided between three main religions now, plus Finland's little thing that they're doing. And yeah, this will be very important in this age as it's going to divide up what this is like going to happen between these two sides of the yellow religion. Now, what is this new age? Well, this is the classical age. It's a lot different from the version we had in our timeline, because in our timeline we had empires like Rome around this time, but we don't. And instead, this classical age will be primarily focused around two different countries on the side of each of these religions, as well as a few other countries scattered around the globe who will be rapidly progressing throughout the next few episodes throughout this little arc of the series. And instead of starting out with those, we're going to start off over here in Northern Europe because Finland has just completed their claiming of their northern territory here. As, I mean, there's nothing holding them back from expanding into it now. And yeah, this is going to be the new shape that Finland will go ahead and take on. Looks very similar to WICSO Finland, I know, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. There are going to be resemblances everywhere. This is just one of them. And yeah, it's Finland, so it's not that big of a deal, right? Right? Anyways, now exactly to what this age is about, we head on over to the Yellow Team, who is going to go ahead and launch an invasion of the island country of Sardinia, and this invasion will be pretty quick, as the Yellow Team will make very quick work of this state that used to be a part of them. It rebelled against them at some point, and yeah, now it's going to be a part of them again. I have bugs flying around me, unfortunately. So, yeah. Anyways, from here, we're going to head away from them and head on over to these guys over here who I am forgetting to add major cities for. I've been meaning to do that, but I mean, yeah, anyways, I don't want to lose these cities, and as you can tell what's about to happen, these countries are about to get absolutely obliterated off the face of this map. And the Greek country will be doing this, as Greece will send their forces into the Albanian country, and they will very quickly collapse this country in full, and they're going to go ahead and fully annex the Albanian state. And yeah, bye bye Albania. Now, jumping right on back to the Italian kind of thing here, we need to talk about alliances because the Square Alliance is a pretty large alliance and it's pretty formidable, and it's kind of blocking the Yellow Team from its expansion, all but in one area. And this area is the Dark Blue Team, who has a very small border with the Yellow Team, but the Yellow Team will be utilizing this. They will send their forces in and they will go ahead and start the invasion of the Dark Blue country, quickly taking their coasts and then Black Capital. From here, we're going to see this country fully collapsing. And at this point, we're going to see the Yellow Team going ahead and annexing a large portion of this country. And yeah, bye bye, because that is now a part of the Yellow Team. And another arrangement of this peace deal is that this thing's not allowed to join the Square Alliance. And I mean, that probably makes sense because you don't like the Square Alliance. It's kind of blocking you from expansion. Anyways, leaving those guys behind, we head on over to this little mess that we created in the last episode because it's going to be explored around. These guys have been doing a lot of exploring. And yeah, we're going to see a lot of these Asian countries expanding as they haven't gotten that respect in that regard because a lot of these countries have kind of been doing nothing, and we're going to start off with these countries, which we literally just formed. Starting off with the state that technically started it all, this thing, they're going to go ahead and expand southward into the Chinese region here, and they will take on this new shape here. It's not much bigger, but it is definitely bigger than their previous territory was. From here, we're gonna head on over to the teal Chinese country because they're gonna kind of outline the borders of the other two countries as they don't want these guys expanding down to them. And they're gonna stretch all the way down to this border here with this light pink country here. And at this point, we're gonna see this new border getting created, which will give the dark blue country this land, and it will give this weird goldish country this land here. And yeah, that's three of the countries in this region done. Now we move on to this green thing, which is going to go ahead and get access to a lot of this land to the south of them. And yeah, from here we move on to this weird colored thing here, which will get a lot of land over in this region here. From here, we can tell that this little brown guy has been completely cut off. Um, they're probably not going to do anything, if I'm being real here. So don't be surprised if they're gone within the next few episodes. Anyways, from here, we're going to look at this weird bluish thing here because they're going to go ahead and expand upon their northern areas here. As, I mean, who wouldn't expand along a perfectly suitable lake for a civilization here? This is probably the most suitable region for a civilization out of this entire general region with all these different tiny countries here. So they probably have it best off. And then there's this weird thing here that is probably like really underpopulated, but it's gonna do a lot of expanding. I mean, I want to put it past them. They're gonna take on this shape here as yeah, they're gonna expand quite a lot for their size. This will prompt the Korean country to expand up northward, cutting off the golden country once again, but also it's gonna force the Korean border all the way up into this region here, which is much further than it was before. The Koreans are slowly growing and growing, becoming a very key power in East Asia. From here, we are going to talk about this guy because he's actually not even going to be doing much expansion because can't do much expansion because this area is cold and you can't really explore into it as well. So they're just going to be looking like that for now. From here, we move on to these two, which yeah, they're not working with much here, so let's change that, as they're going to explore north and south more so instead of like west, but they will explore west. I don't want this to be connected quite yet, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, we will go ahead and see this area here getting explored, and we're going to see these countries taking on completely new borders, which will look something along the lines of this for the pink country. And for the orange country, they're going to take on borders a little in line with that, but not entirely, as they will look something like this, a lot smaller, and that's because they are definitely a lot less populated. From here, we're going to move down to the South Chinese region because these countries want to expand. They've been kind of locked away from that. They've been growing their population slowly and waiting for the opportune moment to do so. Starting off with this darkish kind of blue country down here, they're going to expand quite a bit, sending their expansionary forces into these regions here and claiming them. From here, we're going to see this red country expanding into a lot of the region over here. And as well as that, they're going to move a little north, kind of in spite of the purple country, but they don't really care. From here, the purple country will slightly expand. They don't have the capabilities of expanding all too much, so they're just going to try their best. And from here, we're going to see the teal Chinese country completely wrapping around the purple country. And at this point, they have officially solidified themselves as the strongest Chinese state and will prove that once again by expanding even further out westward. And this will be the new western border of China as they now reach all the way past this region here. And yeah, East Asia is looking pretty good. Let's talk about Southeast Asia here because the Vietnamese country has been putting some work in on their land claiming as they now claim all this land here up to whatever this region up here is called. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what it's called, nor do I know much about it. I'm pretty sure it's mountainous, but who knows. But we're going to see this region getting divided between the countries here, and the weird Limish country will be gaining this chunk right here. And from here, we're going to see this Thai country annexing up to kind of where the Myanmar country annexed, just a little more eastward. And finally, we're going to see the Vietnamese claiming this border here, which will actually create a nice border to look at on their northern side. And that is Southeast Asia fixed for now. The Vietnamese country is looking a lot like French Indochina right now. From here, we head on over to the Malacca kind of thing because they're going to go ahead and continue on their expansion as now they will claim the entirety of Sumatra as well as a whole coastline on Borneo. As well as this, we're going to see them exploring the entirety of the island of Borneo as well as the entirety of the island of Java as well as a few more islands down this island chain here. And at this point, their naval exploration is definitely much farther beyond what we've seen. And yeah, they're going to find out about Sulawesi soon enough. They're going to find out about the Philippines up here soon enough. And from here, we're going to see these guys beginning to explore a lot of this area. And eventually, China in the north will discover the Philippines as well. At this point, we move on over to Japan where similar things happening, as Korea will go ahead and claim the rest of the mainland island, as well as a larger chunk of the island of Hokkaido, as this thing is a little less valuable in the eyes of the Koreans, so they're not really focused on claiming it. Anyways, from here, we're gonna leave those guys behind and head back on over to the Greek country here, because they're gonna continue on their expansion. And do I even need to? The Greeks will launch an invasion into the Macedonian state, and they will very quickly gain full control over it. This poor country had 0 seconds to react, so yeah, bye bye, country. Anyways, we're gonna head on over right next door to Anatolia, where these countries will see this happening and they are going to begin to panic. And so we're gonna see something that these two countries were never planning on, but it's gonna happen anyway out of fear. And this is a union between the green and blue countries here. They will take on the capital of the southern, I think it was blue country. I already forgot the color. But yeah, we're gonna see these guys taking on a new capital, a new color, a new country, new government, just out of fear of the expanding countries around them. And yeah, that's for a good reason because these countries have a lot more influence because of their technological advances. Countries like the Dutch thing over here are behind in terms of technology to countries like the yellow team now, because these guys are rapidly progressing, and it's like how the Baghdad House of Wisdom was a very important place, and it was obviously in Baghdad. It was kind of a center. That's kind of how these two are, and these guys are kind of supplying their knowledge into those banks, and they're not receiving it as well. It's more so benefiting these two rather than everyone. And it's like a divergence in technological upgrade. Like iron was available everywhere. It's more similar to the Bronze Age where bronze wasn't available everywhere. And we saw the Brittany country kind of like get a head start against the Dutch country because of it. And then the Iron Age happened, and then the exact opposite happened. And yeah, from here, I do want to talk about the alliances a little because I feel like I kind of did this without really going into it. And yeah, let's talk about the Diamond Alliance really quickly because we're going to see something major happening here. And this is them losing a member. The Green Team, they don't see a point in being a part of this alliance anymore. They saw the collapse of the Brown Team through, and they don't see a point in remaining in this alliance. And from here, we're going to see these two countries remaining in the alliance, but they're going to kick that guy out, and they're going to add a new country in the place of this little guy down here. And this country will be none other than the country of this tiny thing here. It's just a tiny irrelevant country, but they're going to join up with the Diamond Alliance anyways, because the Green Team is probably about to get them. And this will make the Green Team mad because the Green Team was definitely out to get them. So, yeah, you're making your old ally mad at you. Good for you. Anyways, moving on to our next alliance, we see the Triangle Alliance, where absolutely nothing has happened here other than the size of the shapes not really matching for two of the countries. But I mean, that's fine, right? Anyways, we move on to the Circle Alliance, where we're going to see one change here. and that is that we're going to see the Galician country leaving this alliance. They don't see a point in remaining in it. And from here, we get to the major alliance because something bad will be happening in the Square Alliance. And that has to do with this guy here, who is going to have a military collapse. And the military is going to kind of just overthrow their government. And then they're going to place a new king. And the new king is probably one of their like generals or something. And this guy will immediately get rid of all ties to the Square Alliance because he's pro Circle Alliance. Of course he is. You're either circle or you're square, I guess. And this will give a prime opportunity for a certain someone to enter into your territory. Yes, I'm talking about the guy to your south. Roman forces will begin to move in and they will very quickly occupy your capital. However, this is not going to defeat these guys because the Venetians are a little tougher than their neighbors, so they're going to put up a little bit longer of a fight. However, ultimately, they will be meeting a very similar fate as the country will completely collapse to the likes of the Yellow Team. And instead of them getting the same treatment as the Dark Blue country, they're just going to get fully annexed by the Yellow Team, as the Yellow Team doesn't see a point in keeping them around. And yeah, that goes to show that you should probably not leave the Square Alliance if you have a very hungry neighbor on your border. Anyways, we now head on over to Africa, where these countries are once again expanding on their knowledge because these guys like to explore around this area. And now we're going to see them going upwards, which is a change, into the Namibian kind of area here. And we're going to see a few explorers going ahead and beginning to settle into this region. Oh boy, am I struggling to find colors. What color should I make this guy? I might make it like a green color. Maybe like, um, I'm thinking maybe like this kind of color. I think that probably works for the region the best. I don't know, but we're going to see a new country forming here, and it's immediately going to expand down towards their other nearby neighbors in South Africa because, of course, trade is an important thing. And from here, we're going to see them connecting with South Africa because why wouldn't they? And now we're seeing the chain of these African countries expanding. And eventually, it might wrap around the whole thing. Who knows? But for now, that's irrelevant because we're heading elsewhere. And by elsewhere, I mean over to India, where we're going to see a war happening. The dark purple country and this new goldish country will be going to war over something. I don't know. They're going to be going to war over something. And yeah, the purple country is mad at the goldish yellow country for some reason, and we just don't know that reason. And we're gonna see the purple team launching a full-out offensive against the yellowish country here. Who knows why? I'm not going to go into it. You guys can make up your own lore if anyone cares. But yeah, we're gonna see the purple country absolutely beginning to decimate this country. And yeah, there's no shot this thing wins. And yeah, it's so bad that the government of this thing will just full up collapse, and the purple country will kind of just say, "Yo, you're a part of us now." And you can get rid of your flag. You can get rid of everything. You don't need that anymore. You don't need your capital anymore. That's kind of like ours now. So yeah, there is now one less country in India, and this region just got pretty scary again because, yeah, remember, this religion is a little competitive with this religion over here and also this religion here. Religious tension within this thing could cause a kaboom. Religious tension at this time period is probably not the best thing. Anyways, staying on that note, we've got to end this video, and why not do it a similar way in how we ended the last episode? And we're heading on over to the purple religion here, which has definitely been expanding on itself, following along the new borders of these countries as they move further in. And I'm just gonna like change the color so I can actually see. It's gonna spread throughout most of the inner regions here as it begins to spread along this half of what will probably become the Silk Road eventually. And yeah, from here, it's going to begin its spread into Southeast Asia. And at this point, they're going to see competitors as the Green Indian religion has also expanded down into this region just a little more successfully. And they have made their way into the Malacca country, and they're kind of mad about that. So the purple religion is going to kind of become split on what exactly it is meant for. And this is kind of a problem because the purple religion is very vast, and three different groups have three different beliefs. The group in the south believes that it needs to prevent the green religion from spreading into Southeast Asia. The groups in the north believe that it's none of their business, just let religion flow as it does. And the group in the center is kind of like we should mix in a way with these religions, as we're seeing in this capital right here, actually. The capital of the Thai country is like a mix of the two religions, and I find that pretty cool. I did that by accident, but yeah, we're basically going to see a split in the Chinese kind of religion over here. And it's going to start off over here in Korea, where we're going to see the first branch being created, as the Korean and Japanese groups will go ahead and leave in order to support the idea that it's not really any of their business and that it should be able to just operate the way it should, like always. Then there are these guys who want to get rid of them. They are going to take on a much different color because it's a lot more different. And yeah, this will see a large uh, appearance, I guess, in the southern region here because these guys, they fear the Indian religion in a way because it was just able to spread like that very vastly. And they don't like that. And for this region up here, it's going to stay the same for now. Probably will for a while, so we're going to turn that layer off. We're going to continue to see the exploration northward, as these people are pretty curious of what this land looks like. They will, of course, explore into this region here. This has probably been explored for a little bit now. Speaking of this, I need to update like the exploration for like the entire world because this just connected, and that is huge because to these native groups, they now know about what Africa looks like. Maybe not to like Asians or Europeans, but these guys know what Africa looks like. And from here, they begin to explore into the interior regions like Inner Angola and the Congo, and eventually they'll link up in this region as well. From here, this area will be discovered, and if you get this, this is kind of just me trying to clean this up so I don't have to do this later. So, yeah. Anyways, all this area in Africa will now be explored, and as well as this, we're going to see a lot of the Sahara being explored because I want to get this stuff done with and over with because the exploration of this area is like weird to do, and I don't like it. So, let's just say that happens, and now all of Africa is known to the native African people. And now let's begin to create some new countries in it. But first, we need to define some of the old country's borders. First of all, the Tanzanian country, they're going to expand ever so slightly into new territories outside of their territory, and that will include areas in what are modern Rwanda, Burundi, and parts of, I think, that might be in Zambia. It might be a little too far north, but this will be the new look that Tanzania will be taking on as they expand. And I might change this border up here. I don't like how this looks. I think I'm going to change it to something more like this. I think that looks better. And as well as that, I'm going to change this to have like more emphasis on how it looks. I think something like this will look much better on the map. And it does, in my opinion at least. And now we head on up to the Ugandan country, which will do much of the same in its expansion, as they will begin to expand outwards as their civilization has existed for a little while now. I honestly forget how long it's been, but it's long enough, and they're going to go ahead and expand outward and redefine their country. From here, we head down to these southern African countries, where the yellow country will have very little to do, as they have basically already expanded to all their needs, but they're going to expand one last time, and this will prove to be probably the best idea for them because they will probably eventually have a much larger population given their location. And yeah, they're going to annex all this land here. And from here, we get to talk about this new country, which I think I only briefly
mentioned in the last video. But yeah, they're gonna go ahead and expand inward. And this thing, I don't really know what to say about it because I honestly came up with it as I was doing last video. Usually I have like small plans now, but this one just came out of nowhere. But yeah, that will do it for that country. For the red country, they're gonna go ahead and expand a little more inward as well, as they've existed for a while at least, so they're most definitely suited to doing stuff like this. And this is what their new outer boundary will look like. Moving on over to the pink country, they're not going to expand much, but they will expand more so to their north, as they will expand into all these regions up in this area here. From here, we move on to the dark purple country, which won't be expanding into much land compared to these other guys, but they will be expanding nevertheless into a territory that looks like this. From here, we now get to see the new countries that will be forming, and the first one will be forming over here in the Angolan kind of Congan area. This thing will become a country, and we're very quickly going to define its borders because, I mean, why not? And yeah, that's not the right color. I don't know where that color came from, but yeah, we're gonna see them expanding down to this area down south. And in the north, they're going to expand up to an area about here. And this is what their northern and southern borders look like. But now it gets a little iffy because we're going to see more civilizations forming. To start off, we're going to have a darker blue country forming over here in the Zambian kind of area, who also has undefined borders. And as well as that, we're going to see a country forming in the middle of this area in the Congo. If I can get the color I want, I think I want a color something like this, maybe. It's really hard to tell what I want, but maybe like this. But yeah, we're gonna see three new countries forming, and these three new countries are pretty undefined in their borders. So we're gonna see a whole bunch of these uh countries out in this area here, kind of just deciding where their borders will lie. Starting off with the Zambian country here, which will get a very weird treatment, as their borders will be very confined, as if other countries are looking to expand still. And yeah, this is all that this Zambian country will be allowed to expand into. Maybe actually a little less, because I don't like how this looks here. I'm going to change that. And instead, we get to give this land over to the yellow team, which will be the next country we're going to be having borders given to, as they will be given a very similar treatment, although this one's a little different because they're already going to cut off countries like Tanzania from expansion, so they don't really care about that at that point. But it stops when you get to countries like Uganda, who could still definitely expand. And for now, this is what this yellow kind of country will look like. And from here, we see this last guy who nobody really cares about because they don't have any neighbors. So they're kind of just going to be let to do their own thing, which hopefully won't cause problems. But for now, they're going to just take all that land there, which is a very healthy size of land. And guess what? None of these two countries will be abiding by these orders as they want to expand. First of all, the Yellow team will violate the whatever kind of agreement they had, as they will expand deeper into this territory here in order to link up with the darkish purple country, which they will in fact do. And yeah, they're going to create a border that looks something like this for now. It will be changed to later, definitely. And now these two share a border with one another. The dark purple country will work on expanding the border here, as it will take more and more land away from, I don't know who they're taking it away from. I don't know. But they're conquering some kind of people. And yeah, at this point, this is what this region will look like, as these countries are kind of just forming out of nowhere. And this region is still pretty underpopulated, so we're not going to see much coming out of it. But we will go ahead and see the orange country linking up with the dark purple country. And as well as this, we're going to see the Senegalese thing linking up with West Morocco, kind of. I don't really know what this thing would be called. But with this, we now have Africa entirely linked. Yes, this is a link. I talked about it a second ago. But yeah, every single country in the world is connected to the others in some way or form, which is kind of cool. I mean, other than these guys who are separated by islands, but those are islands, so no, I don't care. And now we get to talk about the actual classical age stuff. First of all, we head on over to China, who is experiencing the same kind of classical fuel, I guess, and they're gonna go on a little bit of a conquest into this purple country, which just gained its independence a few episodes ago. And they're just gonna do this, and they're gonna reincorporate this thing. A few episodes ago, China was losing land like it was nothing, and now here they are, just taking it back like it's nothing. So, yeah, is China back on a rise? I don't know. Maybe. And that's actually all we get to talk about China for now because we head on over to Korea, who will go ahead and finish the occupation of the Japanese Isles if I can find myself on the right layer. There we go. Now we see that Korea has full control over the Japanese Isles, and they're going to go ahead and implement their ideals here. And these ideals are explorationist and expansionist. And we will see this as they will immediately explore around the island of Sakhalin, as well as the Isles, as they will reach up to the Karelian. That's not the Karelian Peninsula. That is the Kamchatka Peninsula. If this starts with a K, I'm just gonna say a random peninsula that starts with a K. But yeah, from here we're gonna see them rapidly exploring this area around the Kamchatka Peninsula and Sakhalin. And at this point, they're gonna go ahead and explore the actual land in these respective areas, as they are pretty curious peoples by nature. And yeah, we're gonna touch up more with this later. For now, we head over to the Philippines, which will be discovered by, well, it's already been discovered, but they're going to be explored by a whole bunch of different groups throughout this area, mostly from the kind of Indonesian country, also by the Vietnamese, the southern Chinese countries, and most importantly, the Chinese and Koreans. From here, we will go ahead and see the islands officially being colored in white, meaning they've been explored. At this point, we're going to see this weird, I don't know, Indonesian country trying to expand up into this region. However, they're having internal problems, and that comes as they've just taken most of the island of Java, and this island is filled with natives, and these natives don't want to be a part of your country. And so we're going to see the island of Java rebelling from the Indonesian country and forming its own brand new country. From here, we're going to see the rebellion very quickly spreading as the region of Sumatra will begin its very own rebellion that will very quickly turn into just the anti whatever this thing is rebellion. And this will, of course, make its way over to Borneo, where it will be most present, as these guys are very, very opposed to the government, as they will take on this pretty cool bronze color. And yeah, they're going to see their full independence pretty early on in this conflict, as yeah, the weird Malaccan country has no control anymore. And at this point, we're going to see soon the full independence of the island of Sumatra as well. And just like that, the Malacca Sultanate kind of equivalent of this timeline has completely fallen, and now they're just a small thing, which I'm going to recolor because it's most definitely not the same thing anymore. And yeah, you are not the same. Actually, might keep it like a greenish color though. Maybe like something like this. You can tell it's slightly different, but it's not like entirely different. But yeah, we're gonna have a new color there. And from here, we can now place new capitals on each of these brand new countries. We don't have major cities here, unfortunately, yet, though. So, yeah, you're going to get your capital there. You're going to get your capital there. You're going to have your capital there. And that's going to do it for capitals in this region for now. As now, we will talk about the Roman country here because they are back to their conquests. And this time, they're going to finish up the dark blue country very quickly, and they're going to annex them, erasing their capital from existence entirely. Don't worry, I have it on the major city layer, so you don't have to worry about it going away completely. I have a lot of the European capitals on the major city layer, actually, so yeah. I actually don't think I don't have the Roman one on here. That's kind of weird because you'd think I would because they're one of the most important countries in this region. So let's do that really quickly before I forget about that. And yeah, now we are going to continue to see their expansion. Is now they're going to send their forces up into the Swiss country, which gained independence from the Marunish country. And yeah, this is going to cause a lot of conflict as they're kind of just going to walk in and take it over. And at this point, yeah, the expansion of each of these classical nations is pretty controversial, most particularly the Yellow Roman kind of country, because it's just been expanding nonstop. We're going to just continue on that because they're going to launch an invasion into the Dalmatian country here, and they're very quickly going to gain a sphere of influence throughout the coastal regions, as this thing can't do anything to fight against the Romans. From here, we're going to see the loss of the capital of this country, as it's just going to collapse. They can't do anything anymore. And from here, we're going to see this thing getting completely incorporated into the Roman Empire, which it is at this point. And yeah, this thing is going to begin to rapidly expand. We now head on over to the Turkic Union that kind of formed in, I think it was the last episode, because of the expansion of Greece. And they kind of want to start up their own thing. And we're going to see this thing expand as yet another country will be joining up with this union. And this is yet another country who conveniently does not have a major city where their capital is. This is just great. But yeah, we're going to see another country joining up with this union, and that country will be none other than the country of Northern Anatolia, as they will join up with this union here. Of course, we can erase their capital. These three countries, I don't remember much of their history, but I remember it was anti-red team. That's all I know. From here, we actually see a pretty united Turkish region. We haven't really seen this yet since the beginning of the series, when it started over in this region under the red team, but yeah, this could be big. Who knows? Anyways, we now head on over to this guy who is going to begin to fall apart because they are not good at anything. They they're kind of just relying on the Maroon team for everything, and you can't really do that. And so from here, we're gonna see the beginning of the collapse, and this is mostly due to the fact that this Polish country has two big cities. One is the most populated, and it's located over here in this region. And I actually might as well just put it on the map because, I mean, I can do that. But yeah, we're going to see this major city existing right here. It's the biggest city. And then we see the capital over here in this major city over here. The capital is the second largest city, and it is 3 times smaller than that of the biggest major city in this country. And so you can see the problem here. The capital city is completely undermined in the politics of the cream. That's not this color. This banana kind of colored country. And so we're gonna see a pretty violent collapse happening here, as this thing it was never gonna work. And it's kind of just gonna split down the middle as the forces that come from the capital, they're gonna get a lot of attention in the east, and of course, the old capital is going to get attention from the west. So basically, what we see here is two opposite sides forming in complete opposite sides of this weird Polish amalgamation thing. And yeah, you may think that the Dutch country would support their ally in this matter. Um, no, as they're gonna put their own troops in this area because they are gonna prioritize themselves here. Sorry, Banana Country, you're gonna get cooked. And very quickly, we're gonna see this thing completely collapsing. And now we get to see what the division of it will look like. Of course, um, it's not gonna look anything like the thing I just did, and we're gonna talk about it as I draw it in because it's not gonna be all too complicated. But yeah, starting off, the Maroon team will be annexing a little bit of land over here in the far western area, as they will annex all this region from the Banana Country. From here, we're going to see the Banana Country losing a whole bunch of land to the east, which I'm gonna draw like a red line in here. I can recolor it later. But for now, it's gonna be a red line that will be used to define this area. And I'm hating how I'm drawing in these lines, but we're gonna see a line something like this forming where everything to the east of it will become independent. And that will start off with the independence of the northern area that was kind of the capital of this thing. It has the major city that wanted to be the capital in it, and it's going to become the first new country here, as it will take all this land on the border here. From here, we're going to see our next brand new country, which will be like a like light pinkish. They're going to control all this land as well as the rest of this red border area here. And from here, we're going to see the rest of this being divided into two countries. The first one will be this area, which will be a new green country, and the rest will be a weird Latvian purplish country. Maybe not purple because there's already a lot of purple. Maybe you can go for like a red, like that, maybe. There isn't a lot of that around here. So maybe that could work. And I'm realizing now that this green might not be a good idea. So how about like this kind of green? I like that. And yeah, this is what this looks like now. And now each of these countries needs a capital. So let's do that. Obviously, this guy, we know where their capital is gonna be. That is an obvious answer. And these guys, dot, 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 think all these guys have capitals. And yeah, that's going to do it for that little mess over in Poland. And we're going to have one small last event happening, which will be on the alliances layer, because one of these alliances will be completely collapsing. And I kind of hinted to it. Yeah, we're going to see the alliance over here in the Square Alliance completely collapsing, as that thing barely exists anymore. And yeah, you don't want to defend a country like that. So goodbye, Square Alliance. And it was fun while it lasted. Anyways, let's start off over here with the yellow team because they're gonna do some more expansion. And by expansion, I'm talking about how the Square Alliance doesn't exist anymore, and you are wide open. So the yellow team will begin to prepare their forces, and from here we're going to see their forces crossing the border on into the banana colored country. They will take the coastline, and from here this country will very quickly collapse as they will lose their capital, and the yellow team will fully capitulate this country. From here, the yellow team will just completely annex this thing. And yeah, now they're on the border of the circle lines, which is a little concerning for these guys. But that's not any of our worries because it's of your worries because you are the next prey. And do I even have to? This country will get absolutely swept. They're first going to lose their coastline, but after this, the remainder will surrender and will get annexed into the Roman Empire. And at this point, the yellow team is looking pretty big. But for now, we're going to actually leave them because we're going to head on over to Africa because yeah, these countries are going to be doing some expansion. More particularly, these ones in South Africa have a lot of work to do to divide up this land here, and they're going to be working towards that goal. Starting off with the pink country, they're going to expand more inwards in their northern areas, as this area is a little more, I guess, welcoming to their expansion. This region wants to probably have its own sovereignty. It's a little harder to expand into, but we will see the red team and pink team trying to expand into it, and they will somewhat be successful. The pink team more so than the red team. But for now, this thing right here, this little area, is probably just going to wait till it can gain its own independence. From here, we head down to the southern region, where we are going to see something like that happening, as we're going to see a new orange country being created in this little gap area here between the yellow team and parts of the green team. This will be a brand new country that will go ahead and set itself up. And yeah, might as well get this over with because we're gonna see yet another country forming over here in this region. And this will be a weird Zimbabwe kind of thing. I don't really know what this is. It's hard to tell without lakes and whatnot. But for now, this is what our country will look like. From here, that leaves this little gap, which gives way for this new purplish country to form. And yeah, South Africa is slowly being divided, and we're going to see more of this throughout the next few episodes, as Africa will go ahead and fill itself in. But we're not done with Africa quite yet, because the Sudanese country will go ahead and expand once again. They haven't really been doing much, but they've been trying to regain their stability after I think they lost Eritrea. I might be wrong, but they're going to expand outwards into these areas of the Southern Nile, and they're going to try to make a name for themselves. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they're going to create this border that I really like, actually. I really like the shape of this thing. And we're going to actually see this continue as we head up on to the blue Egyptian country, as they will extend their border much deeper into inland Africa and the Sahara. And this is the new borders of the blue team. From here, we move on to the Libyan country, which I like the eastern border of. So for now, I'm just going to do this area in the Sahara. Just going to change that up just a teensy bit to look like this. And from here, we really only have one country to edit, and that is the Cyan team. And from here, we just need to draw a wacky line because this thing is already pretty large and it's not going to want all this desert territory to administrate. So we're just going to be looking at this for now, and I'll update the size of these symbols for alliances when the time comes. But for now, I'm not going to touch it. And yeah, from here, we head on over to India because stuff is going to be happening here. More particularly, we're going to see the dark purple country launching an invasion into this blue thing here. And yeah, dark purple team forces will very quickly begin to push in as this dark darkish medium blue country is unable to really brace itself, and eventually it's going to lose its capital. But that's not before the brown team tries to pick up scraps and reform its weird Indian Union thing. And yeah, it's worth a try, but you're not going to be able to get very far. From here, we're going to see the brown team kind of backing out of the war. It's weird. They're going to gain more land than they have occupied, but they're going to be forced to back out of this war because it's very unpopular within their state. From here, we're going to see this dark blue country kind of just disappearing from the map. So, yeah, bye, dark blue country. And now we get to leave this region as India is slowly uniting under militaristic principles, but you know what? That's fine. But now we are heading on over back to Europe to the yellow team because they are once again expanding. And this time they will be expanding into this red country over here. No one protects this thing, and I don't see why anyone would. This thing is an amalgamation that shouldn't exist on this map. And yeah, they're very quickly going to lose control over a lot of their western territories, as the yellow team is very quickly able to maneuver through this region. From here, we're going to see this southern area getting cut off and completely taken over by the yellow team. At this point, the red team will go ahead and completely surrender to the yellow team. But unlike all the previous peace deals before, the red team will not be fully annexed by the yellow team, and instead only their southern regions will be taken over. This is kind of questionable because why would the yellow team not annex the whole thing? But the real answer is they are going a little too much for their own good. But now let's take a break from all the wars and all the expansion to talk about the Greek country. Because the Greek country has been rapidly progressing towards making their side of the yellow religion much better. And yeah, we're going to see why they want to do that. Because we head on over to the yellow religion here, where if you follow the religion that is known as the gold one and you're in the yellow team, some bad things are going to happen to you. And very quickly, we're going to see the yellow team beginning to quote unquote clean the religion that exists in this region. And the Greeks and all these Eastern Europeans aren't very fond of that. So we're kind of just going to see like a mutual agreement forming through most of the remainder of these countries that are like, let's stop this if it tries to expand into our area again, because obviously it doesn't like how our religion exists. It's separate enough, and the yellow team is power hungry. They don't want this to exist. This is why they started expanding in the first place. And there are two goals that the yellow team really has. First of all, to unite all the yellow religion, and second of all, to cleanse any other groups that used to be a part of the yellow religion. So Finland and the gold religion over here, which is a very vast amount of territory. But the yellow team has already taken a large chunk of what they actually do need to take in order to complete their goal. So, I mean, they're not far off. It's not like they're just going on a wild goose chase. But, yeah, from here, we're going to see them making a move. And this move is very, very big because it's going to see a very big response. Yellow team forces will be seen on the Balearic Islands over here in the Lime team. From here, the islands will be seized, and the yellow team will kind of just be silent about it. And then the next day, a landing will be made in northern Tunisia in the Cyan team. The yellow team is now at war with the Triangle Alliance. And yeah, that's not good. If you're at war with three countries at the same time, the chances of you winning are a lot lower. But the fact that the yellow team was the one who struck first implies that they are more capable than we know. So, yeah. From here, we're going to see the yellow team very quickly beginning to move their forces into the Tunisian area up here. Or I guess this is kind of Carthage. And they're going to take the capital of the Cyan team. From here, they begin to push down the coast, but eventually they will be stopped by Triangle forces. We head on over to the Lime team over here. We'll have an amphibious landing over here in their eastern territory near Catalonia. From here, we head to the northern Algerian coast, where yet another landing by the Yellow team will see much success in expanding. And from here, the Yellow team doesn't really have any opposition. And that's going to change, as a whole bunch of countries will go ahead and join this war if I can get my mouse to work. What is going on? Okay, there we go. Anyways, sorry for that little error there, but we're going to see a few countries joining up with this alliance here. The first country we're going to see joining up is the Libyan country, as they don't want to see their allies, or I guess neighbors more so, getting completely beaten around by a foreign power. And yeah, they're going to join up with this alliance to help secure that. And as well as that, we're going to see yet another country joining this alliance, which is a little bit of an unexpected one, which is this great country over here, which has been building relations with Egypt, and more so a lot of these African countries, and they can sympathize for what is happening to the Triangle Alliance here. But for now, they're kind of just going to be involved, but they're not really going to be able to do anything. From here, we are going to continue to see the war occurring, as Yellow Team forces will not be stopped, but they're going to be slowed down in their expansion in the Lime Team. And God, what is happening with my mouse? Um, Not stuff I want. I don't know what is happening here. Of course, this happens when I record, but yeah, hopefully there won't be any problems. But as I said, we're going to see the Lime team being able to successfully halt these. Eventually, they're not going to like completely reverse the advance, but it's going to be halted. From here, we head back to the Cyan team, which will continue to lose coastline as it's been stopped in progressing further southward and eastward, but not over here in this area, as this whole coastline will fall. From here, they're going to begin to push inwards, as they are going to see a whole bunch of success in doing so, and the Yellow team will occupy a lot of the Cyan team. At this point, their forces will begin to push into the Moroccan country. I don't know what's going on with the color, because I've changed the color like a lot, and I think I can't tell what's going on. Okay, there we go. But yeah, we're gonna see Yellow Team forces making their way over here into Morocco. They're not gonna get much, but they're gonna make their way in, which is pretty big. But now, a huge change will happen, as a new front will open up against the Yellow Team. They won't join the Triangle Alliance, but the Greeks will join the war in order to stop the expansion of the Yellow Team into their religious regions. Greek forces will begin to rapidly push up through newly occupied Yellow Team land, And the hatred between the religions is enough, even on the side of the Greeks, to encompass a lot of territory very fast. And this is concerning to the yellow team because they were not wanting this front to open up. They didn't think that the Greeks would come to the aid of the Triangle Alliance. I mean, technically they didn't, but they kind of are, just not really officially affiliated. But yeah, this is happening. This will allow for a massive counteroffensive by the African forces over here in the southern region near the Carthaginian capital, and they're going to almost make their way back up, but they won't be able to make the way to the city entirely. From here, we will see a pushback in forces in the Lime team, as they will go ahead and push back a lot of the forces in the southern region here, as they now are kind of rooted up to the Catalan border here. From here, we're going to see the Catalans getting involved in this conflict because they see it as a interest to themselves, and they will go ahead and occupy the Balearic Islands. Who are you fighting for? Who knows? But that will cut off all the connection between the yellow team and this little group over here, which will allow for the lime team to completely reclaim it. At this point, they've also lost a lot of the connection to the front in northern Africa, so we're going to see the Moroccans pushing them completely out, beginning to push back the front within the Cyan team. At this point, the yellow team is losing land on all fronts, and things cannot get any worse, is what I would have said if they hadn't gotten worse. We're going to see a rebellion in the north of the people who have recently been conquered, and these people will very quickly begin to protest, and it devolves into this, and probably not protest, more like uh, deny stuff that the government wants. I don't know how it would really work at this time, but we're gonna see these groups rebelling. This area over here is like a weird mixture of religions at this point, so it's a little iffy on what exactly would happen there, but for now, we're going to see it rebelling. From here, we're going to see this region over here falling under the control of the rebellion. And at this point, the yellow team is absolutely cooked, and they will make a last ditch effort to get out of the cyan team. And this will go about as you expect. They're going to lose a lot of forces in doing this. And from here, we're going to see the cyan team launching amphibious invasions into the yellow team. From here, we're going to see an invasion into Sardinia, as well as one into Sicily and Malta. At this point, we're going to see the yellow team going ahead and surrendering to each of their opponents in this war. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. And of course, I'm not going to make a cut here, so we'll be doing it in real time. Starting off with Catalonia. They're going to be gaining land from the Lime team, as they're going to gain these 3 islands over here, the Balearic Islands. It's more than that, but there are only 3 that are really shown here, so we're only going to talk about the 3. From here, we're going to see a lot of countries returning that I actually just saved, because it's easier to save them than having to recreate the border. So we're going to see these countries reappearing on this map here, and yeah, simple as that. From here, we can get rid of this little blob of purple, and as well as that, we can get rid of these blobs of purple in the south here. At this point, we have this little region here, which will actually be given over to this independent country here, instead of back to the red team. I don't know why they would do that. Maybe this guy has something to do with it, because they occupied all this region here. Maybe they have a little bit of control in the government of this guy. And from here, we're going to see a few last changes, and those all have to do with the Cyan team, as the Cyan team will be annexing the entirety of the island of Sardinia, as well as the entirety of Malta and the entirety of Sicily. This is a pretty humiliate. I can't speak. It's gonna I don't know why I can't say that. Humiliate. It's gonna humiliate the yellow team a lot. And the yellow team will actually survive. They're not gonna be the country who will be falling in this video, as it probably could have been expected. They're not gonna be the one that will be biting the bullet here. And we're going to see that here in a moment after my mouse decides to be competent and add these capitals back on this layer here. And I'm sorry that I didn't put these two's capitals down, but they're going to have capitals where they are here, and that will hopefully be permanent. I don't know though. Anyways, from here we can disable the major cities layer, and now head on over to the Middle Eastern region, where something will be happening. Something that has been in the works for a while. We head to slightly outside of the Middle Eastern region to this dark purple country here, who will be joining up with an alliance, the only alliance they can really join up with, and that is none other than the Diamond Alliance. Was that my Duolingo? Why was that so loud? I don't know if that was audible, but that was crazy. Don't distract me from the lore. Anyways, this country will join up with the Diamond Alliance, and yeah, can you guess what they're gonna do next? Well, yeah, we're gonna see the Diamond Alliance betraying the Green Team. The Diamond Alliance was on good terms with the Green Team for a while. Um, I don't know if I explained exactly what happened here. If I said something, it's probably not true because I'm rewriting the story now. And yeah, the religion of this region is the main player here. That's what this whole age is about. And really, this is actually after the classical age happening because the classical age would end with the fall of the Roman Empire. But yeah, we're going to see this video extending to this region here because we need to end one of the OGs. And unfortunately for the green team, that's going to be them. And from here, we're going to see these forces beginning to push in because of religious reforms. The green religion over here is a little weird because the green team itself is a theocratic state. It enforces this religion. It probably has pushed into this region here and has tried to kick out the red religion. Whereas this kind of purple country is trying to go for more like the Indian religion here. But unfortunately for them, they used to be allied with the green team. So the green team's like, don't do that. But now that they aren't in the alliance, they've gone ahead and formed a coalition between every member of the Diamond Alliance against the green team. And yeah, as I said, these countries will immediately send their forces in. The first country to do so will be this Indian country over here, who will begin to send their forces into the region of what's modern day Pakistan, as they begin to push into some of the most populated regions of the green team. As well as this, we're also going to see this weird tiny maroonish country pushing straight down in hopes of reaching the Strait of Hormuz and cutting the green team in two. The pink Persian country will go ahead and launch a quick invasion into this region, cutting off this little region over here, which will very quickly fall under their control. At this point, we're going to see them very quickly lining this coastline, as the green team may not be as strong as they really say they are. And yeah, from here, we're going to see the green team already missing out on a lot of land. And at this point, it's kind of understandable because this thing is on the watch list for absolute obliteration anyway. So this is kind of just them getting it early. From here, we're going to see them beginning to lose the most to this maroonish country here, and no successful counteroffensive will be made, and eventually, this whole region over here will be cut off from the rest of the green team. The maroon team will take a quick advantage of this, taking a lot of land here, and eventually we're going to see this region falling over to the weird Persian country. At this point, the dark purple country has seen some slowing down, but not complete stoppage, as they've also cut off a whole region. And for simplicity's sake, they're going to capture the whole thing. And at this point, a civilian government overthrow will overthrow their government and then in place a monarchy, which is kind of weird. Civilians revolting and then putting up a monarchy. That's weird, but it's going to happen. And from here, we're going to see a brand new government taking over in the green team. It's going to be this new color here. And now we get to take a look at what this peace treaty will look like, as we're going to see these countries taking over a lot of territory outside of their main borders. The Persian country will expand down into these regions here, and yeah, that's a healthy bite of territory, isn't it? And from here, we're going to see this maroon country over here getting an even healthier bite, as they will be annexing all this territory down to this region here. And that's an even healthier chunk of territory. It makes the borders kind of ugly, which I'm going to change here. I'm going to give this region back to the new gold team that has formed here. And at this point, the only obvious thing left to change is over here in this Pakistani area, as the weird Gujarat region, Indian country, will go ahead and annex this region over here. Anyways, that's actually going to do it for today's video, and I really hope you all did enjoy. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you do subscribe. That helps out a lot. Liking the video also shows that you enjoy this type of content and you would like to see more. And that's all for me. I gotta end this video, gotta record more, and I will see you all in the next episode.